Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon from the historical documentary Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive. I believed the closest I'd get to playing Monopoly again would be running a game of Talisman, and I was right. This is a Games Workshop warhorse, reprinted under Hydra-headed licensing by many a company. As I make this video, the game is out there in its 4th edition. Talisman is Monopoly for Dungeons & Dragons players. You'll need all the time in the world and the patience of a saint to play it. The game has no great strategy beyond the idea of not being turned into a toad. Don't be a toad. Sound advice. The sound being a frustrated croaking trilling affair as your character drops all loot, transforming into an amphibious plastic figure. And that is a board gaming fact. Oh, that really is a board gaming fact. Talisman is not about strategy. Hell, it's not about tactics or even the ability to plan 1 minute ahead. This is a random game in which random events happen until one random player wins by dint of conquest, or time runs out and everyone adds up the points to see who has the most loot as the bell tolls for thee. Agree on a finishing time before you start playing. This is a game about laughing at the misfortune of others a moment before even greater misfortune befalls you. Do not play the game with people who wish to use skill, tactics, strategy, or any part of their brain. And doubly, do not play this game with humorless people. Play the game with people who are there to laugh at their own misfortune. In the last half hour of my most recent game, I almost fell off my chair 3 times with laughter, choked on my own guffaws, and couldn't see for tears of hilarity. When players ask if you're okay, laughing as they ask while you fall apart laughing back, you are having a good time. Talisman is silly. It's great fun with the right people and no fun with the wrong people. There is much in the game to sneer at from a design point of view. Pardon me while I laugh away at my own ineptitude in being transformed into a toad when I could have avoided that whole sorry episode. This made the transformation even funnier. If you don't like a game, hate it by all means if you must, but go beyond that and spend your time finding something you do like. I'll never play Monopoly. It's an awful game. People will line up to tell you that Talisman is no better. Enjoy what you enjoy. I fully understand that Monopoly introduces people to board games, so ultimately I cannot condemn the game outright. My advice is to find games that offer more than Monopoly does. But if it is your thing, it is your thing. Enjoy the game as much as you please. Don't expect me to play it. Talisman offers more than Monopoly does, and the difference is enough for me. Want to pass the time for a few hours, engaged in random adventure across a fantasy-themed board? This is the game to take you into that world. A topical warning. Be wary of expansions. Fantasy Flight Games lost the rights to publish the 4th edition. The reprint of the 4th edition is now in the hands of Pegasus Spiele. Though there's little change from one version to the other, the big difference lies in expansion pack costs. When expansions went out of print from FFG, they rose in price at the marketplace. Don't pay for expansions at inflated prices. Pegasus is flying in with all the old expansions at more reasonable prices. The other point is that people will mix and match expansions in different print runs of the 4th edition. Can't stop that if they're broadly compatible, but be aware that card sizes and colour variations in the backs of cards will undergo a slight shift from one production to the other, even if both versions of the game are, ostensibly, the 4th edition. I had a clean slate as I waited for the Pegasus version to appear, and I have no expansions as of yet. But I am adding to the game. I found, as the board game doctor making house calls, that the cards shuggled all over the place during transport. Annoying, and that's with a reasonable plastic insert, or what I'd thought was reasonable anyway. So it's time to turn once again to the business of third-party support. This is an e-Raptor box organizer for the 4th edition of the game. Let's build it and stock the thing with game components. What of the handy plastic insert that came with the box? Oh, we've sent it off to live on a nice farm in the countryside, and we expect to receive postcards from the farmer showing the insert gambolling across hill and dale. There is much fun for game components in retirement. They are free of care and light of step. Why, Yes, the farmer owns a shotgun, but that is a wholly separate issue. If you have the manual dexterity of someone who has no manual dexterity, in other words, me, you are the one who must tread lightly here. I find that products of this type, high-density fiberboard, arrive intact or with a few pieces popped out of the frame. It's the popping out that's the difficult bit. Be all fingers and all thumbs. Don't be saddled with all the broken bits you smashed out of the frames. Gently, Bentley. I am assured by the manufacturer that no glue is required. If you feel the need for wood glue, go for it. I prefer to avoid the use of glue when possible. It just gets in the way. Tricky areas of construction, removing pieces from frames and then slotting pieces together. In other words, the entire construction process. Set the pieces out and make sure those are the pieces that go together. That sounds bone simple, and it is, until you try to fit two wildly inappropriate pieces side by side, inside out, front to back, and downside up, and, ludicrously, somehow you manage it. This means you think it is all meant to be that way. Blithely stumbling along, you move on to the next piece, a segment from the end, and behold, with one mighty leap, our hero realizes freedom is an illusion, and that flat smack into a concrete wall is worthy of inclusion on a showreel of Wile E. Coyote's greatest hits. In short, pretend to assemble the bloody thing, and make all the obvious mistakes in your mind. You are well versed in the martial arts, as is your opponent. When you face off in the courtyard of the ruined palace, snow starting to fall, you play out the battle. No mercy. And you lose in heavy snow. Suddenly the snow is starting to fall. The storm was merely in your thoughts. Now play out the battle for real and try not to shatter every board you touch. As Bruce Lee observed, boards don't hit back. But you could pick up a nasty puncture from a splinter. Beware the scalp. The big construction problem lies in dealing with a loose joint. Reach for the wood glue. And the other big construction problem lies in dealing with a joint that's too tight to join. First, check to see if you are fitting the right pieces together. Second, reach for a tool that'll pare away a thin layer of material. The rule of thumb here is to pare, stop, try to fit, pare, stop, try to fit. Another construction problem lies deep within the purchase process. Did you buy a board game box organizer that was designed to fit the edition on your shelves? It's a bit late to check that once you've assembled the damn thing. Read up on the details before you buy. Hunt out videos featuring the product. Confirm all the measurements, even if you have to check shoe size too. This organizer isn't for the game. It's for the game and up to 3 mini expansions. When I fill this after construction, it won't be brimming over, but that's okay. You can spread the components out a bit, that being the case. Does it do what I want it to do? I've only just filmed this, and the board game doctor isn't yet on call. The basic test of an organizer is filling it and placing the game on your shelf. Does everything fit in the box? The advanced test involves taking the box off the shelf and setting the game up. Is game setup quicker and easier than before? And the expert test sends you out on a house call as the board game doctor. Does the game pass the Schugel test during transport? Looking into table management, I picked up these character organizers. Talisman is a huge game, and that's before you add a corner board expansion. Anything that keeps the game down to the size of a football pitch is welcome. This character organizer takes fate tokens and coins in the slots provided. In the basic game, fate tokens operate in the same way, no matter which side up, light or dark. There are rules covering the difference in the expansions, and you'll need to know which way up your tokens sit. In this organizer, it's easy enough to split the tokens and have them all facing one direction in clearly marked groups. Dark tokens are on the left, and light tokens sit to the right. The active token face is on the left-hand side. As long as all players are consistent and are in agreement, there'll be no mix-ups. Come on, stop laughing. Of course players are always consistent. Doesn't mean to say they're consistently right. As for agreement, that is a foreign country. They do things differently there. This smaller character organizer will take fate tokens too, and the tokens are light or dark depending on what's facing the player. What happens if your organizer can't take all the fate tokens and plastic coins you amassed during a game? Why, you lament this inconvenience at every opportunity, of course. burdened by a surfeit of luck and a bountiful harvest of goodly moneys, you will inevitably be transformed into a toad, scrabbling and leaping over a pile of gold that another enterprising player is sure to safeguard on your behalf until the day you are transformed. All you can do is complain mightily, until someone else's run of bad luck eclipses your own. My good luck lasted long enough to assemble this thing without rendering it into matchwood. I call that a win, and I didn't even need to grab the crown of command for that. Otherwise, this video would have been 5 hours longer, at least.